What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing? Welcome back to another episode of ohtobewhole with your girl Camille Young. That is me. You are looking at her dead in the face right this moment. Glad to have you here with me on today. To my holy rollers, what's up? Hi, holy rollers. You know I love you guys so very much. You are so supportive, and I appreciate you. Look, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, I'm going to do that on the front end today. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I would greatly appreciate it, okay? Hit the subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. I need those as well. All right, look, I'm going to dive right into today's topic. And in today's topic, I want to know, why do you go to church? I know that seems like a really simplistic question, but the older I get, the more I go to church, the more I see how our world is, what's happening in our world. I begin to ask the question, for some people, and this is not a judgment because I've asked myself this question, but why do you go to church? I've asked myself, why do I go to church? And for those of you who may be watching who don't go to church, my question is to you, why don't you go to church? Okay? And again, I'm asking this question because I believe many people have gotten so caught up on the wrong reasons for attending church. Some people attend church just to check off a box because traditionally that's what you do on Sundays. For those especially who go to church on Sundays. There are some Seventh-day Adventists, they go to church on Saturdays. But for the most part, and then you got some churches who have church services on Saturdays and Sundays anyway, because they have a large church. But anyway, they go to church because they're checking off a box. They go to church because they have a new outfit that they want to wear. You may go to church because the singing is good. You may go to church because you're looking for a husband. You may go to church because you're looking for a wife. You may go to church because you're following a personality of someone, whether it's the pastor or the worship leader or, some other person who is at the church. But if you are honest and you really ask yourself this question of why do you go to church, all of the things that I just named, and I'm sure there are many, many more, should not be the reason why you go to church. Period. Point blank, period. That cannot, none of those reasons or descriptions that I just provided are reasons to go to church. If you're not going to church, first of all, to worship the Lord, because He is the center. First of all, He is the reason why there is church, okay? And when we get there, He is the reason why we are there. He is the center of and the purpose for why we are going to church. That should be like to meet God there. Now, yes, is God ubiquitous? Meaning, is He everywhere? Is He omnipresent? Absolutely. But coming corporately to the house of God, which Jesus called Himself, He said, let my house be the house of prayer. He has to be the center of why we're there. Okay. And you should also be there to worship Him. This is for me now. This is for me. There's nothing like corporate worship. Like when like-minded believers get into one place and the motives are the same, meaning to worship God. That doesn't mean you don't come with challenges that are happening in your life. That doesn't mean that you don't come with heavy burdens and issues and disruptions and disappointments and whatever the case is. That doesn't mean you don't come there with those burdens, but it does mean that you made it to the building, so you may as well worship him. You may as well lay aside those challenges and issues and burdens and whatever it is that you brought into the building. Lay them aside and give them to the Lord. Lay it at the feet of Jesus. Excuse me, lay it on the altar for God and give it to him. And worship is a great way to do that, whether it be worship don't begin once you get to the building. Worship begins when you wake up that morning and your mind is set on coming into the house of the Lord, whether you opening up with a word of prayer or having your quiet time or listening to worship music, just getting your heart ready and prepared for the word, prepared to meet the Lord, prepared to fellowship with like-minded believers, prepared to serve, because many of us go to church and hold roles or in capacities to serve, going there ready to serve. Those are reasons why you should want to go to church, wanting to learn and develop your relationship with Jesus Christ as well as with others. Making sure that you are feeding yourself, because the Bible specifically talks about not forsaking the assembly of believers. You're not supposed to forsake that. There is a purpose for us going to church, not just to listen to the pastor, not just to hear good music, not just to wear our best Easter frock, but no, it is to come together to worship the one and true and only God. And I just wanted to ask the question, why do you even go to church? Because people, some of the motives that appear to be coming out of it don't feel very pure. But again, this is not judgment, but it keeps me on my toes to make sure that I am going to church for the right reasons and keeping my motives pure and making sure that my focus is on the right person, because it's only one purpose in terms of the who and of why we go to church, and that's Jesus Christ. So this is just a little challenge for you to think about, think through, and really get honest with yourself about the why under your church attendance. Okay. And if your whys are not great, you can change them. Start today. Change those. Change your why. Change it. Okay. Because if you're going for the wrong reasons, you're going for naught. You may as well stay at home. You may as well go to work. You may as well do other things that are maybe more financially beneficial for you, because if you're not going for the right reasons, God ain't getting the glory, and you are just wasting gas, wasting time, being at a place where your motives are impure. So let's ask God, search my heart. God, help me to search my heart and pull out any wicked way that may be in me. Pull out any poor negative motives or wrong motives for why I go to church, okay? And for those of you that need to start going to church, I challenge you, get your eyes off of man. Man is going to fail. There is no perfect place. I don't care, church, wherever, as long as we're on this side of heaven, there's no perfect place. And if you're not going because of a preacher or whatever, why don't you, and I've challenged people with this before, why don't you get your life right so that you can live perfectly and be the example that people need to see and be? Okay, because if you're going to be so harsh on others, get your life together and you be the example. Okay, you be the example. But see, you don't want to do that. You want to put that charge on other people to be perfect and all of that. And that, again, that does not remove that pastors and those who call themselves believers in Christ shouldn't live a life that is exemplary of a believer. But Don't you not do something because you don't stop going to work because your leader or leaders around you or people around you don't do right. You don't stop going there. You don't stop going to clubs because they get to fighting and because they get drunk and, do all these. No, you don't stop doing those things. So stop judging the church on a different level when you yourself have not made the efforts to try to live a righteous life and be an example for others. Okay. Ooh, I don't know how I got off on this. And this video is way longer than I intended. But ask yourself the question, why do I go to church? Okay. Thank you so much for joining me on today, y'all. I went way longer than planned, but to God be the glory. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up for me as well. All right. I love you. And until next time, God bless.